Welcome to the Mountain Valley News Pigskin Preview. I'm Monk Blevins. This is Logan Wright. Logan, can you believe we're in the final week of regular season?
It's been a good ride. We've seen a lot of exciting games, especially this week, all the upsets we have to talk about. It's weird that this late in the season we've had the craziest week I believe we've had so far.
Oh man, I tell you, it's crazy to we try to pick these things and we think we've got it figured out, and then the next thing you know, man, you have upsets all over the place, and this was another one of those weeks, and again, this Region 7 3A, man, you never know from week to week. I mean, it is so crazy. It's just it's unbelievable. This is probably one of the closest regions as far as and I'm not saying they're all good and they're not all bad, but I'm telling you, from week to week, any team in that region can beat the other one, and it's just one of those. Crazy things that happens. And so we got a lot to talk about this week and got some exciting games. The playoff pictures have kind of worked themselves out now. And so let's go ahead and break down the games. The first one we got Valley Head will be traveling to Collinsville this week. And I'll tell you, Valley Head comes in and they traveled over to Woodville last week. And, man, Woodville put a whipping on them, 32-0. So what's your thoughts on this Valley Head team and what they need to do, to get back on the winning track this week?
Oh, that's a tough one to lose to Woodville. Actually, I go to college with a guy who was the running back at Woodville last year, and he was telling me about their team, and he said this is the best Woodville team they've had in years. He was he started both ways, and he said that this Woodville team, it's odd how good they are because they're so young. So Woodville's definitely going to be one to watch out for in the upcoming years. And that's a hard game. We kind of count Woodville out because they've had a harder schedule, but Valley Head gave them a game. They just came up short.
Yeah, Woodville actually held Valley Head to 100 yards and 6 first downs in the game. And, we're talking about Woodville, this is the first ever playoff appearance for Woodville. They're going to be coming in as the number 3 seed team in 1A. And so, they're really not in our coverage area, but congratulations to Woodville. Definitely. I know they're excited over there about, making the playoffs for the very first time. And also, this was the first time ever that they beat Valley Head in a football game. So, but this Valley Head team, I know they've had a lot of injuries, and it's just been crazy in DeKalb County this year the way the football games have went, and I think everybody probably thought that Valley Head would travel over there and put a whipping on Woodville, but man, I tell you what, Woodville showed them up. Collinsville comes in, man, they hosted Fife last week, and the Collinsville team, they actually scored to take the lead right off the game at the beginning of the game, and and it looked like it might be a pretty good game, but I tell you, this Fife team, we talk about them each week, but when they got rolling, it was all over. Collinsville did have 3 turnovers in the game that actually led to 5 touchdowns. So, what's your thoughts on Collinsville? What do they need to do this week to improve, get ready for the playoffs, and to beat this Valley Head team?
Well, I've got the opportunity to cover Collinsville a few times, and at times they are a great team, and they're ones to watch out for. I mean, they have athletes, they definitely have size. They're one of the biggest teams in our region, but one of the things that I think makes Fife such a great team is their consistency. They are consistently moving the ball forward. They don't have negative plays. They hardly ever turn the ball over, and that's what makes Fife so good.
Yeah.
Just how they consistently move the ball. And if Collinsville can get on that roll and just continue to build on momentum and build, and they got to cut down on turnovers, of course, but I think they're one to watch out for. This is a great team. They've come up short a few times in a couple of key games, but if we go back and look, they're in every ball game, even against Cleveland. That first quarter, Collinsville looked like they were going to win that game, and turnovers killed them in that game, just like in this game.
Absolutely. Of course, their starting quarterback, the Jones kid, was out this week, and their backup quarterback, Keaton Kilgrove, come in, and he was 12 of 23 for 126 yards. So that's not a bad start
especially against the Fife
backup
defense.
Quarterback against the Fife defense. So, this Collinsville team looks like they're going to be coming in 3rd seed in their region, and so if they can stay healthy, and we'll see what happens. You never know in these playoffs who they'll match up with, but Collinsville's got a chance to finish out on a strong note against Valley Head this week. So that should be an interesting football game. Our next game we want to talk about, we got Ider traveling to Sylvania. Ider comes in, man. They lost to Section last week, 28-26, and we talk about Ider, man. They are so beat up, and I started looking at the players they were playing this week, and so many new names that I hadn't even heard of that has played at Ider, and so I know they're beat up, but Ider, the quarterback Braxton Laster, he was 4 or 5 for 108 yards, and the kid Dylan McHoney, he had 10 carries for 64 yards, and Jacob Higdon had 72 yards on 18 carries for Ider. But I tell you, man, this Ider team is really beat up, and man, they took a tough loss to a Section team that was sitting at 0-7. And that was their first victory of the season, and so congratulations to Section on a big win. So, what's your thoughts on Section and this Ider? Ider's be traveling to Sylvania. So, what's Ider have to do this week to actually beat Sylvania?
You talk about Section. Section's definitely been down this year, but I don't want to take away from them. We know this is a different Ider team, but regardless, Ider was still the favorite in this game. I know Absolutely. I picked them, and I was surprised to hear that Section came out on top. So congratulations to the Section Lions on a hard-fought win. But for them to compete against Sylvania, they're going to have to take advantage of turnovers, and they're going to have to cause turnovers, and they're going to have to get momentum on their side, because this is a good Sylvania team. When we talk about Sylvania last week coming up big, they actually are Mountain Valley News Team of the Week for an overtime win against New Hope. They beat the number 1 team in the region. You talk about 3A Region 7, how each team can compete with the other. That's a team that's not making the playoffs that just went and beat the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed has been beat twice by teams that didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Talk about the Sandrock Wildcats. That's a great football team. I believe it's the first time in Cherokee County history that a team has went 7-3 and not made the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a crazy region, and you talk about Sylvania, man. What a big victory, beating New Hope and over there actually, and beat them in overtime, 29-28, and Caleb Roebuck had a great game. He had 3 touchdowns and actually scored the winning 2-point conversion to beat New Hope. So congratulations to Sylvania, our Mountain Valley News Team of the Week, and I tell you what, this Ider Sylvania game could be a good one. They're just right up the road from each other, and man, you would know, Ider would love to get this victory this week, and this Sylvania team, they feel like they're on a roll right now, pulling that big win. So that's going to be a great football game, and it's going to be interesting to see how that ball game comes out. Our next game, we've got Crossville traveling down to Geraldine. Crossville comes in, and they lost to Sardis 41-14. But going into the halftime, that game was tied 14-14. And I tell you, this Crossville team, man, they play good at times, and they play great against Sardis in the first half. But they come back out second half, and man, Sardis just opens it up on them, and Crossville had some turnovers and actually fumbled the ball on one play where they were about to score. And Sardis picks it up and runs it 88 yards for a touchdown. And those kind of things will kill you in a football game. So, what's your thoughts on this Crossville and Geraldine game?
Oh, well, Geraldine's coming off of a hard loss to Plainview, which that was a great game to watch. The halftime score was 7-6, and if Ethan Johnson doesn't block that field goal, that's a tie ball game at halftime. Both defenses played great. Plainview just they took advantage of a lot of things that happened. I know they had 2 interceptions, and to start the game off, I don't know if it was a bust in coverage, but Bailey Dukes hit Jacob Wooten wide open over the middle for a 68-yard touchdown. Stuff like that can't happen if you're wanting to win a close game.
Oh, absolutely. This Geraldine team comes in, looks like they're finishing 4th in the region, and, Stephen Hood and the Willoughby kid and the Jimenez kid all had great games in in the Plainview game. And, this Geraldine team, man, they've got a good football team. And, who knows what will happen in the playoffs. I don't know how the other region breaks down right now, but I know they will be probably facing the number 1 team in the other half of the region, and so it's going to be exciting in the playoffs. But I know Geraldine would love to beat this Crossville football team, and don't you know how Crossville, they would like to finish up the season on a win and beat this Geraldine team. So that's going to be a great game, and I know Crossville and Geraldine, the fans there will be real excited about this football game. Our next game, we've got Fort Payne will be traveling to Anniston. Fort Payne comes in, and man, they beat a good Southside team 38-14. everybody, we had talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and we thought this week would be for the region championship with Fort Payne and Southside, and of course Southside was upset by Scottsboro, and that kind of messed things up. But I tell you what, this Fort Payne team, defensively, they're playing extremely well. Extremely well. They are causing turnovers and they're picking off passes. And I'm telling you. So what's your thoughts on Fort Payne and if they travel down to Anniston this week?
Well, like we said, they already have their region locked up. We know they've won the region, but that is a great offense. I know we're flipping back and forth because that team is just so good. We can never decide if we want to talk about how well the defense is playing or how well the offense is playing. Desmond Turner, it's like you're playing Xbox with him. I mean, his numbers consecutively each week, I think he had 200 and something.
Yeah, 212 yards and 3 touchdowns on the night.
So that's one of his lowest rushing games. It's one of the crazy things.
Yeah. I tell you, this Fort Payne team, Coach Ellis has done a great job with them, and I'm telling you, this Fort Payne team, I believe they can make a little bit of noise in the playoffs this year. They'll be traveling, or they'll be hosting the first round at home, man, which is big, and so they travel down to Anniston this week, and that'll be a good game for them. This Anniston team typically has a good football team. I think they're a little bit down this week, but I do know this last week they actually upset Alexandria, Alexandria actually was leading the region, and Anniston upset them this week. So this Anniston team is not bad, but I think this Fort Payne team is clicking on all cylinders right now. So that's going to be an exciting game. Our next game we've got Pisgah traveling to Asheville. Man, I tell you, this Pisgah team, they traveled out to Sandrock last week, and watch you what, Sandrock put a whipping on them. And so what's your thoughts on this Pisgah team? What do they got to do this week to turn it around and get this last win, before off season and build some momentum going into next year?
Well, see, Pisgah's another great team in 3A Region 7 that's not going to make the playoffs. To me, they're one of the better teams in the region, as is Sandrock. Sandrock was my pick probably to win the region, and I still think if everybody went back and played, they probably would. I know they had some injuries, but Sandrock showed up Friday night, and they put a hurting on Pisgah, and this is a very good Pisgah team. I know
Absolutely.
We watched them. They upset North Sand, and they are playing great also, but they're definitely going to have to look past last week, and we know this is their last week of region play. They didn't make the playoffs, but it's always good to win on a victory and get some of those younger kids some experience going into next season.
Absolutely. Our next game we want to talk about, is going to be Section and North Sand Mountain. North Sand Mountain comes in. Man, they locked up number 2 in the region, and they beat Brindley Mountain. I think it was 41 to 14, and so it's going to be this will be a great game. Section has got a little bit of momentum going right now. They beat Eider last week. So what's your thoughts on Section and North Sand Mountain, and how can North Sand Mountain kind of build for this first round of the playoffs? And
well, this is a very good North Sand Mountain team. I know they're sort of the Cinderella story because not many people picked them. I mean, nobody would have picked them coming in and making the playoffs like they did and securing a top region spot, too. I believe they'll be playing at home. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes. They locked up second place in the region. So yeah,
Coach Monroe has done a great job, but you don't want to take away from Section because they're coming off a big win also. I feel like Section may surprise some people in this game. I know they're playing a lot better right now than they have earlier in the season. They have athletes up there.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't have very many.
Yeah, Section's Dustin Martin had a great game against Eider, and he had 2 touchdowns. And, so this Section team, they've got this first victory, and we talk about this. Once you get that first one, it seems like you get a little momentum going, and so you never know how, with North Sand Mountain coming in, they've got the region wrapped, or their playoff pictures wrapped up, and so, they may not be taking this Section team as that may be a little light taking them, and so it's going to be interesting to see. This North Sand Mountain team has done a great job, and to me, they're probably have been the surprise team of this year, and Coach Monroe has done a great job. And the thing about this North Sand Mountain team is they're young.
Definitely.
I mean, they're young, and they'll have most of those players back again next year. So they would they'd like to go out and win this game and get some momentum going into the playoffs next week. And so it's going to be an exciting football game. Our next game we want to talk about is the Mountain Valley News Game of the Week, and this is one of those games that every year it's an exciting football game, and the fans get excited about it. We got Plainview will be traveling to Fife. Plainview comes in. They beat Geraldine 21-6 last week, and Fife we already talked about. Man, they put a whipping on Collinsville 49-14, and so what's your thoughts on Plainview? What would they have to do to upset Fife this week?
Oh, this is the Sand Mountain Iron Bowl. I've had the opportunity to play in these games, and this atmosphere is completely different than any other high school game you'll play in. I mean, it's sort of silent when you walk out on the field because you can everybody in these two towns is going to be there watching this game, and everybody's going to be talking about this game for 356 days next year.
Oh, absolutely. Plainview comes in. Sam Mueller had 89 yards for Plainview last week, and he on 15 carries. And I think Clay Cooper had 2 carries for 63 yards. He broke a long one, I think, toward the end of the game. But what was really impressive to me about Plainview, Bailey Dukes was 9 for 9 passing for 80 yards. I mean, and that's not a lot of throws, but man, when you go 9 for 9, that's saying something. So
Zach Stevens, the Plainview nose guard, had a defensive lineman's dream. He picked off a screen and he returned it for 20 yards. And he got tackled, and then he fumbled. But that part's not important. He still caught the ball, and he came up with it. So all the credit goes to him.
Oh, I thought, the Fife team comes in. We talk about them, and, Dylan Kilpatrick, man, he just keeps rolling up the numbers. He had 138 yards on 19 carries, and Peyton Anderson had 50 yards on 6 carries. So, man, this is going to be a great football game. Plainview, I guess after going 0-3 and then reeling off 6 straight wins now, you look at this game and you think, there's probably not going to be much to this game. But, Plainview might make a football game out of this. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this Plainview Fife game. I think this Plainview team is, right now they feel like they can win. So
now they definitely have some injuries right now. Plainview's success has been really passing the ball. But they have All-State cornerback Will Kirk. He was injured last week. He didn't get to play at all, but they still beat Geraldine.
Yeah.
And then you have Caleb Hughes.
Right.
He's also injured. He probably won't be back. I know he has an ACL injury, so he'll be gone.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was talking to the Kirk's dad yesterday actually, and they're not sure about his chances of playing this week. But this Plainview Fife game,
it's a good game.
It's always
anyway.
a good game, and the fans get really excited about it. So it's going to be a great game to watch. And no matter the outcome, Plainview's going in as 3rd in the region and making the playoffs. And Fife will go in as number 2, and they'll get to play at home in the first round. And so I know Plainview and Fife are actually looking at the playoffs, and one of the things that they hope won't happen this week is they get some more injuries. If they can stay healthy and get ready for those first rounds, it's going to be exciting. Our next game we want to talk about. We're going to drop down into college. We got Ole Miss will be traveling to Auburn this week, and man, Ole Miss. They played at home against Texas A&M, and they put a whipping on Texas A&M. Ole Miss was. They're coming off that big loss the week before to Memphis, and it seemed like they kind of got their mojo back this week. They started, they were able to move the ball and run the ball a little bit, and and then we talk about Auburn, and man, what a crazy ball game.
I was the only one that picked them. I was like, Auburn's going to win this game. I'll be the only one that picked them. Cinderella story, and then they didn't. So
yeah, man, they have 4 overtimes, and man, you would think it'd get to, the second overtime, and you're thinking, okay, Auburn's got this thing won, and man, on 4th down, Arkansas will do something crazy and score, and man, that was one of those another one of those crazy games for the weekend, Next game, we got Florida versus Georgia, and Georgia and Florida both come in. They had a bye last week, and I know this Georgia team, man, they need a win this week, they're coming in after losing to Tennessee, and so man, they would love nothing more than to upset this Florida team, which I would say would be an upset this week. So, what's your thoughts on Georgia and Florida? What would they?
Oh, Florida's defense is amazing, and I guess it's good they both had a bye week. They're going to have time to really look at each other's schemes as far as offense and stuff goes, and they're going to, Florida's going to have to prepare for that rushing game from Georgia. That's their moneymaker right there. Is the rushing game. They can't really throw the ball that well.
Yeah.
So I believe this will be a great game to watch.
Yeah, it will. You know, the next game and our last game that we're going to talk about, we got Tennessee will be traveling to Kentucky. And, boy, I tell you what, you know, Tennessee come in. And I'm going to tell you, this Tennessee team is a little bit better than you would think. You know, they drove down the field and missed the field goal right off the bat. And then, of course, Bama took it down and scored. But, you know, Tennessee didn't get down. They turned right around and marched it back down the field and, you know, tied that game up and actually stayed tied till halftime. So what's your thoughts on Tennessee, what they would need to do to beat Kentucky?
Well, you go back and look at every Tennessee game, they have a chance of winning every one of those games, especially Alabama. We watched them play. I think they surprised a lot of people. But I don't want to count out this Kentucky team because Kentucky football has gotten better each year, every year, and they're continuing to improve. And I believe in the next few years they're actually going to be more of an SEC type team and less like Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you what, this Kentucky team has surprised a lot of people. And, man, they've got a great quarterback, and I right now I can't tell you his name, but he has played well all season for them. And, you know, to be honest with you, he probably could start at any SEC school right now. He's a great quarterback. You know, we've talked about all these games, man, and like I said, what an exciting week it was. And, you know, now it's time for us to pick them. And this week, you know, our guest picker is actually going to be one of our own. You know, we've got Jordy Wiltz. He is our sports writer, one of our sports writers, and he's going to be in as our guest picker this week, picking for us. How you doing, Jordy?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing good, doing good.
Hey, before we pick, I'd like to send out congratulations to Evan McPherson. He's our player of the week from Fort Payne. He actually broke the field goal record up there. He broke his brother's record with 60 consecutive extra points made.
Wow, that is great. You know, and his brother, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is playing at one of the Louisiana schools right now. And you know, so man, what a feat to be able to break his own brother's record. You know, don't you know that's exciting when you come home at Thanksgiving or Christmas? You know, hey, guess what I did? You know, so I know they'll have some fun out of that. Well, Jordy, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going down the list here, and we're going to pick them, and we're going to let you pick first since you're the sports guru, and you should know all of these. So we're going to start right now. So here we go. Our first game, we've got Valley Head traveling to Collinsville. Who you got in this one?
I got to say Collinsville. I feel like they got a good week ahead of them this week.
Yeah. Logan, who you got in this one?
I agree. They actually made that 5 game a ball game, and I said they would, so I'm going to have to go with Collinsville.
Yeah, I'm going with Collinsville too. You know, this should be a big win for Collinsville, and you know, getting ready for the playoffs, and hopefully they can get some of the, you know, stay healthy and be ready to go the next week. So I'm going with Collinsville. Our next game, we've got Ider traveling to Sylvania. Who you got in this one?
I got to say Sylvania coming back from that big win against New Hope.
I would agree with him there. Sylvania, I think that shocked a lot of people in that victory, and I feel like Ider's really down right now, and Sylvania's just going to take advantage of them.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going with Sylvania. I tell you, you know, this Sylvania team, and I've talked a lot about them this year, and, you know, I think they've got 2 victories right now. But, you know, this team could actually be sitting with 7 or 8 victories. You know, if they can hang on to the football and get rid of some of their mistakes, you know, they've got a good football team. They've got skilled people, and they've got a massive offensive line.
The biggest line around here.
And so, you know, this Sylvania team, you know, they need some experience, and I think you're going to see them. They'll come back next year, and they'll be a different football team than what they were this year. But I'm going with Sylvania in this game, too. I think they'll win that one. Next one, we got Crossville traveling to Geraldine. Who you got in this one?
I got to say the Geraldine because they coming off a disappointing loss from last week, but they're still a good team. I think they'll pull this one out.
Yeah. Who you got?
I'm going to have to agree with him right there. Geraldine's defense looked great against Plainview. Plainview just, you know, they took advantage of some things, but I'm still going to go with the Geraldine Bulldogs this week.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what, you know, this Crossville team, they play well at times, and I think this Crossville team can play with Geraldine, but I don't think they can beat Geraldine. I'm going with Geraldine. Our next game, we got Fort Payne traveling to Anniston. Who you got in this one, Jordy?
I got to say Fort Payne. I think they got a good year this year, and I think they'll keep it going.
Logan?
I'm with him. I can't wait to see Fort Payne, how they do in the playoffs. I think they can make a run of it, and I think a lot of people are expecting them to, so I'm going to have to go with Fort Payne Wildcats.
I'm going with Fort Payne, too. I tell you what, this Coach Ellis has done such a great job with this Fort Payne team, and you know, man, they've got players everywhere. You know, I mean, their defense is good, their offense is good, their special teams are good, and I just can't see this Anniston team hanging with them this week. I'm going with Fort Payne. Our next game, we got Pisgah traveling to Asheville. Who we got in this one, Jordy?
I gotta say Asheville. I think Pisgah struggled a little bit last week, and be moving on. But I think Asheville's got this one.
Logan?
I'm going to go with the upset. I feel like the Pisgah Eagles should be in the playoffs right now, but they're not. So I feel like they're definitely going to want to win this, get a start on next year.
Yeah. Well, and this one I struggled with. I changed it. I actually had marked Pisgah, and I was sitting at my desk, and I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought, I just, for some reason, I think Asheville's going to win this game, and so I'm going with Asheville in this game. Our next game, we got Section traveling to North Sand Mountain. Who you got in this one, Jordy?
I gotta say North Sand. They've got a better team than they've had in probably ever. They got a good team this year.
Yeah. Logan?
I tell you, I'd love to see Section pull the Cinderella story and come with the upset, but I think North Sand's going to be too much for them.
Yeah, I'm going with North Sand Mountain too. I tell you, this North Sand Mountain team has found ways to win all year, so I'm going with North Sand Mountain. Our next game, and this is the Mountain Valley News game of the week. We've got Plainview traveling down to 5. Who you got in this one, Jordy?
I hate to do this, but I think I gotta go with 5 this time.
Oh,
Logan?
he goes to school there, but I went there, but I hate to do it too. But I'm gonna have to pick 5. But I'd love nothing more for Plainview to pull that upset and make it 7 in a row.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's hard to pick this game, but
All three
and my
of us
wife
Plainview
is
people up here just
my wife is not going to be happy with me, but I'm picking the 5 Red Devils. I just don't think Plainview can hang with them. All right, we're going to jump down into our college games now. We got Ole Miss will be traveling to Auburn. Who you got in this one?
I'm gonna have to say Ole Miss this week.
Logan?
I went with Auburn last week and they let me down, and I can't do it again. So I'm going with the Rebels.
Yeah, man, this is one of those games for Alabama. Auburn needs to win, but Ole Miss is going to win. So, next game we've got Florida versus Georgia. Who you got in this one?
I think Florida's gonna pull this one out. They're doing pretty good. I think they'll continue that.
Logan?
I think that defense is going to be too much, and they're going to swarm to the ball. I'm going to have to go with the Gators.
Yeah, I'm going Florida too. I think even though they lost their starting quarterback, I still think this Florida defense and the other weapons they have. I think they'll pull the win this week. And our last game, we got Tennessee will be traveling to Kentucky. Who you got in this one?
I'll have to say Tennessee this week.
I'm with him. I'm going to go with Tennessee, but I'm saying right now, if Tennessee doesn't hold on to the football against Kentucky, Kentucky's going to pull this upset and shock a lot of people.
All right. Yeah, I'm going with Tennessee too. I tell you, they kind of made believers out of me watching them play Alabama this week, and it's not a bad Tennessee football team. So I think Tennessee can get the victory this week. So before we go off the air again, we appreciate you guys joining us each week, and I wanted to mention we've got a special going on here at the Mountain Valley News on our newspaper, and if you sign up right between now and November the 14th, you actually will get 3 months free. That's November through January. It'll be free for you. And you also will have your name put in for a drawing we have a turkey, ham, 2 Alabama football tickets. It's Alabama and Charles Southern. And so, if you can come by here and register for that and sign up, or you can give us a call at 638 News, man. And we'd love for you to come in. This is a great deal. And, again, we appreciate you guys tuning in each week. And, this is our last regular season game, but, we're going to be back with you next week for the first round of the playoffs. And we're going to be excited about that. And it's going to be some great football games. And I'm Monk Blevins. This is Jordy Wilkes and Logan Wright. And we'll see you again next week.